Aloha artist, Miss Maggie here. If you've made it this far in our native animal portrait project, you have one finished painting that has your animal bold and brilliant in front of a soft and distant background that expresses its habitat. We have one more piece that we are going to make for this project this week. If you look at my finished example, you can see that I have added in a native plant into the very foreground. I have collaged it on to the construction paper frame that I have added. And so this week, you are going to choose an important native plant from your animal's habitat, and we are going to look closely at it. Notice what makes that plant unique. Just like you looked closely at the characteristics of your animal, we're going to draw it, Sharpie it, paint it, and then next week we'll add the finishing touches and put the whole piece together. So, what are the supplies that you're going to need today? Well, you are going to need a small watercolor paper, and you might also want a small drawing paper for practice color testing, all those sorts of things. You're also going to want a construction paper. And if you don't have your construction papers handy, if you have a large drawing paper, we're mostly just using it for size so we know how to lay everything out. And so you will also, of course, need a pencil, an eraser, a Sharpie, and we will be painting today. So you will want your water, your paints, and a paintbrush, and a napkin, and one more really important thing. You need a quality photo of your plant. Sometimes even having more than one lets you really notice the details. Like this one, I could see what the flowers are like. This one showed me what the stems are like for the akuli kuli. This one, another example, the koa tree, well, I found this picture first, but that would be perfect for my background. This is going to be going right up front. Like if this was up in Maui's rainforests and uplands, I could have koa growing in the foreground, but it wouldn't be a baby koa tree looking like that. That's what it looks like from a distance. So you want to find a picture of your plant close up, and maybe even more than one if you find that. That way, that will help with the drawing and the painting. So again, what do we need? You need your small watercolor paper, small drawing paper, your construction paper to help with the layout, pencil, Sharpie, eraser, paper towel, watercolors, brush, water, and that photo. And of course, it doesn't have to be printed out. It could be on your screen. Okay, go get those supplies and meet me right back here. So, how are we going to start this? Well, we need to do a little planning because this piece is not going to attach to the small watercolor paper you painted on before. It's going to attach to the frame. So this one here, I know that this is going to go right in the middle. I know it's in the middle if the top and the bottom are the same and side to side are the same. Not gluing it down yet, just getting it set up. And then I'm going to think about where my plant is going to go. It'll help to look at the photos of the plant and also to think about the size of the paper that I have. Look at all this and think, well, do you want your plant to be rising up on a side? We want your plant to be large enough to overlap this painting at least a little bit. See how I cut it out and I overlapped it? I think this one would actually be really neat to have it go straight across. See how my watercolor paper is as wide as the background construction paper, so I could make a plant that goes straight across. If your plant is more of a tree and you are in the rainforest, you could have it coming up the side and overlapping this way too. I wonder, it could be some limbs coming down this way too. Say if this was an Evie and you had some Ohia coming down like that, that could be neat. So you decide, where is yours going to come from? One way or another though, it starts at the edge and then comes into overlapping your picture. Like this one started on this edge here and it came up to overlap. And of course, I cut it out to highlight its shape as well. So look at your artwork, look at your paper. So look at your photos, look at your artwork and paper, and decide how your plant is going to go. Once you have your general plan, you're going to need your photos and your watercolor paper, and you're going to look closely at the plant. Every species of plant is unique in how it grows, and every species of plant has a pattern that it follows. It's not a perfect pattern like A, B, A, B, A, B, but you can notice what it does. And then if you notice the pattern, you can follow it and draw it. And so I'm going to start with any branches that you see. And if you don't have any branches, we're going to start with a stem. And if you start with a branch, then you go to a stem. And then you're going to look at the leaves. And then after you look at the leaves, you'll look at any flowers, seed pods, or anything else that the plant has. And for each of those, starting with the branch, you're going to look at what direction is it going, what size is it, and what's its shape. And so, for this one, I notice that because it's a little wetland shrub, that it doesn't have any branches, but it does have stems, and that I can find a stem like this one here. I'm going to just find one to begin with, and I'm actually going to practice on my drawing paper just a little, and I see that it kind of curves up, and that's its direction. And its size, well, it's not going too far, but it is also not too thick. So I'm noticing that. And its shape, well, it's narrow, but then it bulges at certain spots. But I notice that those spots that it bulges are where the leaves come out. Like right here, there's a little, like a scar on it. And then right here is where the leaves come. So after the stem comes the leaves. So again, what direction do the leaves go? I see one goes this way, one goes this way, and one goes that way. I'm looking right here. Boop, boop, boop. So I have one on this side, one on that side, one on that side. I found their direction. Now, their size. This one actually seems like it goes a pretty far distance. On the photo, it goes all the way to the edge of the paper. I'm going to do that too. So its size is all the way down there, and its shape is long and skinny and gently round. Okay, how about this one? This one comes out here, has a little stem, and then its size, it's going to go up a ways, not quite as big, comes up, and it seems like it's actually a little bit flat on the end of it, but curved. Okay, like that. And this last one's kind of confusing because there's another one behind it, but it's actually bending away from us. So I've got the stem, which is important. So I've got that little stem there. And then its size, it's going to be smaller. And its shape, it's going to be stubbier and rounder. Oh, so that's what that one does. And I can see that if I come up this stem again, I can find where more leaves come out. And that actually looks like it has some leaves come out, then a little extra, and a couple more. So there, I see I have lots of leaves coming out. I need to check their direction, their size, and their shape. So this one comes out this way and curves right here. There's a little one here coming that way, and then there's a bigger one going in the same direction, and then I'll do the others. But this one, I see it comes up, and then it curves down like that. And the little one overlaps that bigger one there, 1, 2. I see it comes and curves that way, so I paid attention to direction, size, it's smaller, and shape, it curves that way. And this one overlaps behind, goes in this direction, it's larger and gets skinnier right there. And that little guideline, not needed because this plant's a succulent, so it doesn't really have veins. And so I think I'm getting the hang of it. I think I should switch over to this paper. Now, if you're doing such an amazing job on your drawing paper and you're like, but I don't want to draw it again. Do you remember how we taped it to the window and we transferred it over? You could use that to transfer your drawing to this by using the light through a window. Could work. I'm just going to remember what I learned and start drawing it on my watercolor paper because I got so excited, I got carried away on my drawing paper. But it was a good warm-up. Okay, so I'm gonna do it again. Now that I've looked closely at the characteristics of this Akuli Kuli, I feel like I can draw it. Okay, now I'm catching up to where I was. I see that there's one right here coming up, but then there's another plant that's overlapping it. I can decide what to do about that. And I notice that the stem keeps going. I think this part is connected to right there. And so I am noticing how this plant grows. That one comes out there, direction and size that way. This one curves and is shorter. Kind of comes right around that one. Okay. There we go. I've got that one drawn there. I'm going to do another one. And this time, I see how the flowers are. They come out of the ends. And so I'm going to start adding flowers in. But I think I'm going to make another stem come up. And what I can do is I can borrow from another stem, or I can use the pattern that I just learned and do it again. Just change the direction a little bit. Let's see. Is there one that I can borrow from here? I like this one here, but I want it to come from down here. So I'm going to borrow from it, but I see that it's still narrow and it comes and changes direction kind of wherever it has leaves come out of it. So I'm going to plan that out. And so of course your plant is different. Of course your photo is different. But you're going to look closely and you're going to find the branch or the stem and you're going to see what is its direction, what is its size, and what is its shape. And then you're going to see what comes off of that, whether it's a stem or it's a leaf. And you're going to go, well, what's the direction of that? And what its size? And what's its shape? And so that's where I'm going with this. This one's going to come up like this. And I'm going to draw all those leaves coming off. And I'm going to add the flowers that I see right there. Okay. Ooh, and I like how that part comes off from there. I'm going to have that one coming down here. And I'll also have one coming up. This one here coming up, you can't actually see the stem. I see that the leaf's direction covers where the stem is. And then there's another leaf that comes up and goes like that. I'll erase the parts that I don't need. Adjust it, make it so that it's curved a little bit, not so large that I can't see the other parts. And this one down here is what I'm being inspired by. I'm going to have one leaf coming this way and one going off the bottom. There we go. Those flowers, I need the flowers in there. I see that the flowers are small. I'm not following my photo exactly, but I'm using it as information about how the plant grows. Ooh, I like that. That shows the characteristics of this plant. It shows the shape of it, the directions that its stems go. It shows where the flowers come off it, and I'll be able to show the color too. The one thing that I'd say it still needs is I really want it to cover the whole bottom of my artwork. You could do it differently. I'm going to keep going with my pattern that I have found. I know what the stems are like, I know what the leaves are like, so I can grow more of the plant. And one thing to know is that if your plant has parts that are overlapping, then, well, you figured out what shape the leaf is from your looking closely, so maybe there's parts in the background that you don't have to be as careful about, but you can use the shapes and sizes that you found. See, I'm putting the suggestion of little stems and leaves back there, even though I don't know what they connect to exactly. But if I just started doing any sort of leaf, it wouldn't match. Those leaves look the same type, but they're hiding behind. I'm letting the main leaves overlap, and the details that I like best still stand out. I really like that spot there, so I think I'm going to let that part be really clear. But I'll maybe do a stem that does this down here. And let's see, where can I be inspired by? Maybe those ones there. A little filler in there. See how that works? Great. Okay, well, if you're wondering, do you have enough plant drawn? Well, check on your artwork. Is it going to overlap it once it's all together? So, mine right now, yeah, it would overlap it. But like I said, I want mine to go all the way across. But as long as you have enough to really express your plant, someone else could identify it from the details that you drew, then that could be good. But also think about what is going to most inspire people, what is going to best express this and be beautiful in your artwork. As scientists, we want people to know about these native plants. We want them to be able to identify them and their characteristics. But if you're going to inspire someone to want to protect a habitat, does just knowing that it exists, does that do enough? That's where art comes in. The more of your heart that you put into making your artwork beautiful, the more you will inspire people, the more they will care and want to protect these beautiful habitats. Okay, I have mine done. Now, before you Sharpie and paint, compare your photo and your drawing. Start with any branches. Notice their direction, their size, and their shape. Does it look like the same type of tree? Then look at any smaller branches or stems. Look at those and compare them. What do you notice about their direction, their size, and their shape? I know that I didn't copy the photo exactly, but I did look at the direction, how these go in different directions, and their size, how thick they are, how they're curved, and the shape. For instance, how they're a little bit wider wherever the leaves come out. Because I noticed those things, I was able to borrow details from the photo and keep going. Then look at the leaves. Are they going in the same sorts of direction? Are they similar sizes and shapes? I think mine are doing that. Notice yours. What can you improve? where can you make your drawing look even more like the species of plant that you are expressing? And then finally, if you have any flowers or seed pods or any other part of your plant, look at those. Does those express their direction that they point or angle, the direction of the petals, their size compared to everything else, and their shape? Notice those. Again, I bet you can find some detail to improve. Once you have compared them, noticed how are they similar, how are they different, and how you can make your drawing express your plant even more, then it's time to Sharpie. Go over those lines carefully to show off your hard work. Take your time with that Sharpie. Make all that hard work that you just did really shine with your focus and careful lines. Okay, I think I've got all my details Sharpied. If some details are just too small to Sharpie, then you can express them with paint and color. And so I think I've got mine done. Whew, okay. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to erase those pencil lines. Holding one side of my paper and pressing it across so I can let all those pencil lines go. And that's going to make that look fantastic. Wow, congratulations on looking so closely at your native plant that goes with your native animal's habitat. We have drawn it, we have sharpied, we have erased all the pencil lines we don't need, and now it is time to paint. I have my photo on hand, I have my paints all ready, and I have that piece of drawing paper that I was practicing on because remember how much testing of colors we did? Well, we can do testing of colors again, just like we did before. I'm going to look closely at my plant and notice what's going on with its colors. I'm going to start with any branches. Look at any branches you have. What colors do you notice about that? I don't have any branches, but I have stems. And my plant is a wonderful combination of green leaves, but reddish, pinkish, purplish stems. And so I'm going to see, well, how do I make that color? I see that it is definitely have a lot of red in it, but it's a little bit pinkish, as I said, and my red is a very red red. So I'm going to add a little bit of purple to it and see if that's what I want. Ooh, that's good in some areas, and some areas might need that color plus more water, so it's a lighter value. Ooh, that might be working. I like that. And some areas I think have a little bit of orange to them too. It's sort of that red plus orange. See, like in those spots, but with some water added as well. So some lighter values there. So I have some of those colors for there. I see some shadow colors that are definitely darker. Those areas deeper into the plant are going to be darker, so I'm noticing that. And so, ooh, that's a very dark color. Maybe red plus purple plus some water would be good too. So I have planned out my stems. I'm going to start in on those. Since I have those colors mixed, I have them in my mind. I'm going to start in on the stems. You could start on your branches if you have branches, depending on what size plant you are doing. And so I'm looking at that photo and going, well, some areas are brighter. Some areas are going to need more water in there so that they're even lighter. Some areas are going to have a lot more paint. And I really need to use the tip of my brush. I jumped in without really stopping and thinking, didn't I? I did it part way. So I'm going to do that. Sometimes I even forget to stop and think when I'm painting. I am paying attention to where am I painting the stems. Okay, I've got that part. What color? I did practice that. What about what stroke? Did I think about that? Not really. I'm holding my brush like a pencil. I'm holding it on the middle part, and I need to use the tip of my brush. If my brush is not showing a good tip, I'm going to give it a good tip like that. And I bet you are going to need to do careful painting today, and you will be using the tip of your brush as well. Another tip for painting your details today is sometimes we need to lighten colors with water, but you don't want too much water on your brush because you want control. Let's say if I take a really light red-orange for where the sunlight is hitting a stem. I got a lot of water mixed in there. But if I take all that, it's going to be drippy and hard to control. Instead, if I wash my brush, dry my brush is dry, and then I take a little bit of that, I can use the tip and really have control. See how soft I'm able to put it just where I want it? And then if there's a darker area, I can put the darker color and they can blend in, but it's all staying right where it's supposed to go. And so remember, we're using just the tip and we're putting those colors just where we want them, and we're using all these beautiful colors that we've made. And right now, I'm working just on the stems, and I see that those stems have so many different interesting colors in them. So I get to really play with those different tones and also make sure I'm not putting too much water on my brush. Drying it off, a little bit of paint on the tip, and I can drop it in. Sometimes I need a darker color, sometimes I need a bolder color. It is in the foreground after all. Of course, your artwork is going to be different than mine. You're probably doing a completely different plant even, but I'm giving you the strategies and the techniques to make your artwork amazing. Try out these techniques. Pay attention to using just the tip of your brush. Pay attention to how much water is on your brush. Mix all those different colors. Here I'm mixing so many different greens. I'm having greens that I've mixed water with them so that it's a lighter value, and I'm doing yellow greens that shine like the sunlight is hitting the plant, and some of those yellow greens I'm adding water to so that they're a lighter value too. Look at your artwork. How many different greens are in your artwork? The more that you put into it, the more you pay attention to your mixing, the more your care is going to show in this, and the more your skills will grow, and the more people will be inspired to help protect the habitat that your artwork is expressing. Now, as I keep going, I'm starting to add some colors behind the plant too. All those little areas can have color in them too. I'm making them carefully dark so that all my light colors of the leaves and the stems can stand out. Look at your photo and decide, what does your artwork need? Remember, we're going to cut this out, but some of those little areas, of course, won't get cut out. So fill them in. Make it beautiful. You know what I didn't do? I didn't actually do my flowers. I'm going to do my flowers. I see that it has a yellowish center and then a pinkish purple petals. What's the next part of your plant that needs some special attention? Is it the leaves? Is it some seed pods? Do you have some flowers to paint? What are the colors that's in them? Are there little subtle differences in the colors? Are they all the same? Are you sure? Notice those little differences, and that shows off its uniqueness and its beauty. Okay, I think I'm there. So, do you see how up here, this I'm going to cut off, and I'm going to cut right on those lines, those Sharpie lines I made. So I'll probably actually cut into that shape there, but in here, that might be a little too hard to get to. So I've colored those areas. Have you colored your entire area? Are there white areas that need to be filled in? when I look at mine, I see some areas that I think should not be white. I see areas that I need to take my brush, even if it's just my brush with the tiniest bit of water, or even just a little bit of whatever paint I'm using mostly, but it's mostly water, and fill in those white spots. Now, I will tell you a trick that artists use, is if you look at this artwork here, there are some spots that really are white, but they're teeny, like that spot on the edge of that flower, or that highlight right there. So you might want a couple little white spots, but they're teeny, and you're looking at your piece and deciding what spots do need to be filled in and what spots you are intentionally letting be highlights. So use your eyes, use your creativity, use your focus and skills of observation to find what's going to make your artwork look its best. Is there anywhere else that needs dark colors or light colors? Compare your photo and your artwork. Notice how they are similar and how they are different. Notice the colors on the branches. Do you have all the colors in your artwork that you notice on the branches? If your branches are brown, did you just use brown, or did you mix colors with the brown to get those darker colors, the lighter colors, an orangier or darker, bluer, purpley? I don't know. It's your artwork. It's your plant. You're doing a different plant than me, probably. How about the stems? Are your stems green or brown? Are they a light green? Are they reddish purple like mine? What are they? How did you show those colors? I noticed mine was a reddish color. I didn't use just red. I mixed colors. How did you mix colors to make yours look unique? How about those leaves? Are your leaves green? How many different greens did you use? Did you show that some leaves are in shadow and some are bright? How about your flowers or seed pods or whatever else might be in yours? I think my flowers need a little bit of a pick-me-up. I'm going to just give them a little bit of bloop, bloop, bloop. Yeah, just that little bit of red mixing in helps them be more amazing. Not coloring them all the way red, but they needed a little bit more. So that's the one more thing that I added to mine. What are you going to add as one last detail to yours? Once your artwork is completely painted, you are going to put this somewhere safe to dry, and then you're going to keep it with all the other pieces that you've created for this project. Because next week, we're going to cut it out and we're going to put it all together. So keep this artwork safe and also take care of your paints. Mine needs some cleaning after all that awesome mixing. And my brush, I'm going to take care of that too. I'm going to dip it in the water, give it a swirl, give it a wipe, give it a hug so it has a nice tip for next time I need it. And finally, here is your reflection question. You looked very closely at the native plant from your habitat today. I would like to know what detail you noticed while drawing or painting that you didn't notice before when you were just finding the photo. Describe the detail that you found and how you painted or drew it. Okay, I can't wait to see how you drew these plants and how they come together next week as a part of your finished artwork. I'll see you then. A hui ho!